Welcome to the November 14, 2012 PDC Board of Commissioners meeting. Jan, please call the roll.
Chair Andrews.
Here.
Commissioner Dixon.
Here.
Commissioner Molas. Absent. Commissioner Strauss. Absent. Commissioner Wilhoit.
Here. Thank you, and we expect Commissioner Strauss to join us by telephone for the action items at about 3:30 this afternoon. We'll start off with commission reports, and maybe we'll start with the cloud first. Charles, anything for the cause?
No, I'll just let you move right through the agenda. Thanks.
All right. Commissioner? I had three kind of fun events. The final mayor's economic development cabinet, which was very well attended and successful. And, Patrick was able to give an update in terms of how we're doing with meeting the goals of the 5-year strategy. I got to speak at the Lloyd Eco District anniversary, first anniversary of that group being open. Still a lot of enthusiasm over there for getting that district going. And then was honored at the Beach Botanical Garden, and I accepted it on behalf of all the commissioners. That's all I have. Patrick?
Thank you, Chair Andrews. Good afternoon, Commissioner Dixon. Good afternoon, Commissioner Wilhoit and McLeod. So yeah, this is a busy time of year for us. A lot of events that happen in the fall, and no event was more important for us, and I think more gratifying than the East Portland Economic Development Summit, which happened on October 25th. This was hosted by ERCO, and about 250 people in attendance, and it was just a great way to celebrate 1 year of progress under our neighborhood economic development strategy, and then talk about what was to come next. We had Senator Merkley gave a keynote address, and Senator Merkley is actually from East Portland and began his career in Portland, serving as a housing advocate in East Portland, and then later as a state representative. So it was a very personal event for him. The mayor and Sheriff Cozy and others spoke as well. So great event. We're looking forward to our second year of work. And as the chair mentioned, we did have the final economic development cabinet for the mayor, and gave the mayor an award for his leadership on economic development. And it was, I think, a special moment for us because the mayor really has provided a lot of vision and leadership for our work, and hopefully that momentum will continue going forward. Last week, a number of us attended Portland Business Alliance's Business Leadership Evening, which once again Mayor Adams was recognized for his leadership on a number of fronts, including the downtown retail strategy. He was given one of the banners that will be put up soon in the Village Pioneer District, and so that was, I think, a special award for him. Martha Worship was also honored. She's the now outgoing CEO of Vestas, and she talked about the future of renewable energy and both expressed confidence in the future of that sector, as well as the future of Vestas in Portland. Even though she's leaving, she did recommit Vestas to staying in Portland, so that was nice to hear. A number of events are going on right now as we speak. Portland is hosting the annual conference of the Small Business Innovation Research and Small Business Technology Transfer program. So it's the SBIR, STTR, these are federal grant programs that award annually billions of dollars in very small grants to a lot of the small businesses who are doing innovative research. So it's small businesses that are developing new products and new technologies can apply to the federal government, and they can get grant awards to fund this research. And so we have a big collection of people both yesterday and today here in Portland. We're having a celebration tonight to talk about the work we're doing in entrepreneurship with a lot of the conference attendees. We also have a delegation of both staff as well as board in San Francisco right now for the Greenville Conference. And the PDC is sponsoring a number of panels there and functions there. And one of our panels is featuring group of Portland companies, including Blumac, Skanska, Green Evelyn, and Columbia Green Technologies. So it's a good chance for us to showcase our green development industry, and Commissioner Strauss is obviously there as part of Blumac. And then on Friday, we're going to have a WorkSource Portland, which is the regional workforce development arm, is hosting something called ProStep Connect, which is a job fair event that is explicitly focused on technology and IT careers. So we're seeing growing demand for folks with technology skill sets, and so our workforce partners are beginning to focus on that. And then tomorrow night, the Technology Association of Oregon, which used to be known as the Software Association of Oregon, but it's our partner in our software cluster. They're having a launch party for their new brand and logo. They in transitioning from the Software Association to the Technology Association, they brought in not just the smaller software companies, but also some of the larger technology manufacturing companies and hardware manufacturing companies that are based throughout the state. And so they rebranded themselves, and they're having a kickoff tomorrow, and we're helping to sponsor that as well. And then just want to remind our board and those listening that the board is having its annual retreat, which is the beginning of our budget process every year, and we review our work plans and talk about budget priorities. So that retreat is November 29th, and it's being held at the Botanical Gardens in Lent. So we're going to be regular visitors to the beach. And then just want to highlight a couple more project-related things. We are not yet bringing the Veterans Memorial Coliseum deal to the board. We anticipate that happening later on this month. But we should know that some of the work has already begun, including a new ice floor, and so the Portland Winterhawks have begun a new season and played their first home game at the end of October on a brand new rink that was debuted, and that's part of the early work of this project. And they now play on an official NHL-sized rink, courtesy of the investment of the city and PDC and the Winterhawks. So we're excited about the rest of that project. And then this week we kicked off our downtown pop-up retail stores. This has become an annual event in the holiday season. We make use of the vacant retail space downtown, and we put in what we call pop-up stores, to temporary retail stores for companies that don't have a permanent retail establishment. So I'm just going to do a little promotional work here. There's four new pop-up stores downtown. Two are located at 902 Southwest Morrison. One's called Enchanted Alpaca. They sell clothing made of alpaca wool and other kind of natural fibers. Wolf's Apothecary opened in the same space, and they offer health and beauty products and home goods. And then at the Governor Hotel, there's something called Boys Fort, which is a men's home and lifestyle store. So they'll be located there beginning of December. And then on 535 Southwest 6th, we have a pop-up store called Emit, E-M-I-T, which employs fabrics usually used for athletic gear to create women's apparel, such as dresses and skirts. So please be sure to check out those pop-up stores. And I think, as everybody knows, Election Day has come and passed, and we now have a new incoming mayor and a new incoming city commissioner. So we're excited to begin working with Mayor-elect Hales and Commissioner-elect Novick, and as well as returning commissioners Anna Fritz, Nick Fish, and Dan Saltzman. So we look forward to a smooth transition, and I think, like I said, we can continue the great momentum that we've made over the past few years.
Thank you. I was testifying at City Council just before this meeting on an update on the downtown retail strategy, and the pop-up stores came up. And I'm not sure that people know that much about them. We've been doing them in Portland for the last 4 years, and it's really being picked up around the country now. And the whole idea is that you take a smaller vacant storefront and get a local designer retailer that usually doesn't have a street presence, and give them an opportunity to have a retail store over the holiday season. And I think about a third of them have ended up taking permanent locations, not necessarily downtown, but sometimes programs in neighborhoods. But it not only creates a more linear and constant experience for the shoppers downtown, but it also just really supports our entrepreneurship and small business efforts and gives these people a real leg up. It's an amazing amount. It was well over $100,000 in sales last year in these little stores, so in a short period of time it can have a big effect. Okay, next item on the agenda is meeting minutes for October 24th, 2012. I would look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Any comments, additions, changes? If not, all those in favor of accepting aye? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item is public comment for items not on the agenda. I don't see anyone signed up. I understand there was perhaps an item that was emailed in, which make sure that it gets into the record. And off to the regular agenda. First item is half off the order, which I understand that you have elbowed executive director out of the way.
Right. Robin. Come on. Or maybe I can meet you. I don't know. So I get to read this. This is Robin. She's been with PDC a little over 9 years. So that's quite some commitment. Thank you for all of your service and hard work here. And obviously you're deserving because you're receiving this half award today. So Robin Rafferty for cooperative attitude, leadership, and initiative regarding lawsuit processes and procedures, including the drafting of the user-friendly instructions for requisitioners and for a positive attitude and willingness to assist in any situation, always displaying a smile, no matter the need, requirement, request, or how many times asked the same question in various ways. That's very important. Thank you. For being the consummate professional, mentor, team player, and colleague, and by doing all of the above, Robin serves as an example to others of how to embrace the commission mission and values. So thank you very much. Here you go. I like this man.
Thank you, Commissioner Dixon. Congratulations, Robin. Should we try to get Steve this item?
Okay. So we should take a break.
Take a 5-minute break. So we need 4 commissioners for the next couple of items. So we're going to call Commissioner Strauss, and when we get him on the line, we'll back up.
I'll just hang out.
Number 1, adopting budget amendment number 1 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2012, and ending June 30, 2013, and making appropriations from March.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, members, Commissioners, Executive Director Quinn, Attorney Barnes, Budget Officer. I am presenting today the first budget amendment for fiscal year 2012-13. This is actually formally amending the current fiscal year budget for the Board of Development Commission. The first time, we usually do 2 or 3 amendments for the year. I'm going to give a brief description and summary of some of the changes, walk through some of the changes on resources, changes in expenditures, and happy to answer any questions regarding that. There we go. All right. So the purpose of this amendment, and 4 points here to summarize it, really is a true up beginning fund balances based on the final 11-12 year-end balances. Now that we take a look back and see how we ended fiscal year 11-12. We've adjusted projects and programs for committed carryover from 11-12. recognize other project adjustments. We've identified some changes with the Portland Housing Bureau, projects and programs they need to carry over from last fiscal year that will roll into an IGA adjustment later, as well as implement budget and new activities for property management, revenue and expense tracking. This is kind of the next phase of our in-depth activity management and tracking. We're using our software to track and report on a parcel-by-parcel basis actual budget performance and revenue expenditure performance for all our properties. So a summary of our resources, going from the adopted budget that was approved in June to the revised budget. This is also listed in Exhibit A, page 1 of Exhibit A of the board resolution, with a description of each change. This is again a summary of all the changes throughout of all of PDC's funds. So it's a roll-up net change of all the different funding sources. Beginning with beginning fund balance. We're turning up the beginning fund balance at $42 million. And that change is really a combination of a lot of different changes across the different funding sources, including River District, Downtown Waterfront, South Park blocks, LEMS URAs, where there's projects that didn't complete last year or did not move forward. Good examples of that would be our Block 3 project with Downtown Waterfront, the Oregon Sustainability Center, and South Park blocks of resources were budgeted last year. They were not built into the budget this year, therefore we're recognizing those cash balances. I do want to point out that an earlier version of the draft of the board report mentioned that the majority of changes related to the Veterans Memorial Policy. Note that this stated point is really related to 5 or 6 URAs where there was project and program underspending for things like Block 33 and OSC, and also some more lending programs where we didn't overspend. Other revenue changes or resource changes include intergovernmental revenues. We're recognizing at $976,000 carryover from the city general fund that will be included in the city budget amendment process, as well as our that grant, the federal PDA grant that was awarded last year. Those resources are going to be included this fiscal year. We're reducing long-term debt borrowing by $7 million. That's mainly the LENS URA related to, again, since we have a larger beginning fund balance, since we have more cash on hand, we don't need to borrow as much in some regular ways. Property income is being increased by $3.3 million. That's a combination of recognizing the property sale of Burnside Bridgehead, as well as going back to what I mentioned about recognizing revenues and expenditures on our properties and property budgeting and accounting. For a good example would be our operations in a convention center. There's property related to that we're improving the forecast. Summarizes our majority of our resource changes, so total resources changing about $40 million. A summary of our requirements across all of our funding sources. We are reducing administration by about $230,000. That's primarily related to moving to contingency some of our dollars that were slated for potential IT projects. Now, business development is going down to net $1.3 million, and that's related to a combination of things. It actually does include some increases on the city general fund for carryover from last fiscal year, but we are reducing our lending programs in a couple areas true up to what we think our year-end lending will be. So there's more conservative forecast of the dollars that we're looking at. Infrastructure is going up by $3.8 million. That's primarily the Greenway North Macadam project that we completed over this fiscal year, that IGA with Parks Bureau, so we're carrying those dollars over from last year. Housing is increasing by $6.3 million. That is, again, carryover from last year's set-aside resources. The majority of the resources are in the Oregon Convention Center, River District URAs for dollars that will be RFP at a later date. And then property redevelopment, net increase increase of $4.1 million across all the URAs. And that's related to a number of different changes depending on the URA. In some cases, there are some increases in storefront program and other grant programs based on some demand, as well as commercial redevelopment loan programs, South Park lots, and the interstate URAs, where there's some potential opportunities for make sure that there's some budget authority for. And finally, contingency. I'll walk through some of these changes here. Talk about structure, property redevelopment, storefront, commercial, and finally improve forecast for property management revenue expenditures. Contingency increased a net $27.4 million. This is a result, again, of fund-by-fund resource expenditure balancing, mainly related to meeting fund balances coming over from last fiscal year. As I mentioned, Block 33 of downtown waterfront, the Oregon Sustainability Project, South Park Blocks, the River District, where we had some understanding on some projects and programs. So it's an increase across many different funds, and it's on a case-by-case basis based on individual circumstances of projects and those funds. That's why the release and contingencies going on by that amount. So in summary, taking a look back at the adopted budget that was adopted in June and the revised budget that is before you today, overall the allocations between the adopted and revised budget are roughly the same. As I mentioned, expenditures are going up in that $40 million, and the percentage breakdown is roughly the same across the categories. Housing is increasing a little bit more proportional to everything else, but it's still in line with the housing set aside. And any changes made right now in the budget will be updated to this rolling forecast we have for the housing set aside as we go into the budget process and five-year planning process next month as we look at the allocation across all the areas. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Tony. Now into my fifth year, I'm finally becoming really comfortable with how complex and difficult this process really is. I've said it many times before, a PDC budget is not like a business budget because it relies in a lot of cases on getting projects done that we don't have control over. And I think, frankly, the changes are very indicative to the fact that although the economy is getting better, it's still difficult to get projects off the ground. And the next agenda item is proof of that. But we're awfully glad that they're here today. Housing, for example, we actually have no control. The Housing Bureau tells us what we should budget to give them for the coming year. If they don't get it built, it gets moved on the next year. So a lot of hard work to keep tracking. Also, I think I point out once again that contingency, what we call contingency, is really an unbudgeted expenditure. It's not there. I guess it could be used in the coming year, but at this point, it is cash on hand that will be used in coming years, and it's not allocated to a line item at this point. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. So thanks for the changes. I know there were just a couple of typos in the process, and we did get replacements for them. I didn't have any further questions. Commissioner Dixon?
Thank you for that explanation, because that actually helps a lot. And Tony, for presenting the contingency line item. I think that's the most difficult part for me to understand, because it just, I come from a construction background, so when you think contingency, it just has a different meaning. And the fact that you made mention that it's going to increase across all the many different funds, and like you said, it's a very complex budget here, that really helps. Is there any opportunity that it could be broken down a little more specifically as to what those fund balances are, or is that never something under that?
I summarized in this presentation some of the main drivers of what's causing that continuing fund balance increase and the resulting PDC. And we can drill down on looking at last year and the performance of each fund last year, very specifically look at the difference in revenues, budget versus actual, and the difference in all its project expenditures, budget versus actual, to show what's causing that, what's driving that. And then once you have that change in the fund balance that goes into this year, from last year to this year, then you look at the changes to this year's budget. And in some cases where we didn't utilize those resources from last year, that's what's driving the increase.
In your 5 years of looking over these, have you ever seen where the variance is a lot less? Have there been examples of that, or is it always really as large of a number just because of the unknowns?
I think the first year I was here before the economy collapsed, I think it was a lot easier to count on getting the project done and it was budgeted. But since then, it's been sort of, especially with the financing portion of it done, it's become a little less predictable.
All right, well, again, thorough presentation, and obviously this is the first couple of marks, so thank you.
We're starting on the new budget here before we know. Just finish the old one. Charles, anything?
No, I think you and Commissioner Dixon have touched on the key question that I had. I just want to emphasize once again, similar to what you said, Jerry, 6 years or so, and I want to say that I've been here looking at the carry forward, I think it's just indicative of the challenges that the economy and the rural project actually be critical. People understand that there's no contingency line. We defer more than anything, but I think we don't want to emphasize that shouldn't occur. Doesn't mean money immediate that we could spend on anything that comes before us. And then about and we continue to spend we all of our needs and the fact that the numbers fairly significant that we still go normal planning and strategic investing in product. Come out of that process as we set out to our with the fund will be the product will move forward towards the goal of really developing different areas and expanding economic growth creation. So thanks to all for the action and the clear, and I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
We thought that you didn't have questions.
All right, so I will look for resolution to approve, a motion to approve resolution 6979, adopting the budget amendment number 1 for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2012 and ending June 30, 2013, and making appropriations.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you, Tony. Thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Did I have a quick moment and no one heard anything I said?
Well, let's say we heard about 2/3 of what you said.
Okay.
It's a little choppy. It's a little choppy.
The beautiful phone that I'm looking at, I can't believe you didn't hear that.
You need to put new batteries in that phone.
They covered me with one of those Star Trek phone receivers that goes through.
All right, on to our last item for today. It's an action item, Resolution 6980, authorizing the third amendment to the disposition and development agreement with Growth Hostile Property LLC, an additional loan in the amount of $180,000 to Growth Hostile Property LLC and revised terms for a $2,465,000 loan to Growth Hostile Property LLC. Steve Shane.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Executive Director. My name is Catherine. I'm a Senior Project Coordinator at PDC, and next to me is Ms. Shades, the City Manager. And I'll be available for questions at the conclusion of this presentation. So today we'll be providing you with a short update on the Road Hotel redevelopment project and be bringing forth 3 second loan of $180,000, and then request to authorize modifications to the previously approved loan of $2,465,000. The road bundle DDA and loan were authorized last year, July 27, 2011, and since that time, a couple of activities have happened that bring us to today. That action authorized the transfer of the Roosevelt property to the developer for the rehabilitation of the Roosevelt into an international youth hospital as found by retail. And that program still remains the same. After the execution of the DDA in August, the developer's contractor, the final construction costs came in over budget. That was assumed during underwriting. And that budget gap was almost $580,000, as you see in the next slide. Since then, there have been several extensions to the final termination date. I'd also like to note that in Amendment 1 to the DDA, there is a 60-day termination clause. So PDC has the right to terminate with written notice if the developer does not close within 60 days of the termination. A new appraisal was ordered, and the most recent appraisal is dated April 10, 2012, and that value is $160,000. We also want to note that the roof of the grove failed in February of this year. The damage was so extensive that if PDC were to hold on to the property, then we would need to replace the roof. And that cost is estimated at $105,000. This was estimated from a third-party cost estimator PDC staff worked with. Therefore, the purchase price that we're recommending today is $555,000, which is the new value of the property less the cost to replace the roof. The project funding, as you see here, this is compared from July of 2011 to today. We brought this to you last year. There was over $700,000 for equity. Again, this was in at $1 million, and there was a PDC loan of $2,465,000. Today, the developers are bringing to the table more equity numbers, almost $400,000 more equity. The advance loan remains the same. The first PDC loan remains the same, and a new loan at a higher interest rate of $180,000. In terms of the PDC funding, the first loan, the interest rate, the term all remain the same. The interest rate still is above market. It used to be an incentive for the developer to refinance early. The second loan at $180,000 is at a higher interest rate of 10% for the shorter term. The modifications to the first loan is in regard to the personal guarantee. Since the developers added more equity members, no member has greater than 20% ownership share. Therefore, they're not required to provide a personal guarantee. However, we have negotiated a conditional guarantee for the LLC members are willing to, if the advance loan defaults, will be promising to pay off the advance loan with their own assets, and then PDC can take first position on the property and repossess the property. The project that we brought to you last summer, as I mentioned, is pretty much unchanged. This is a 144-bed, 57-room hospital with ground floor retail, restaurant, and smaller retail spaces. Ace Group International would operate this hospital. I understand this is one of their first hospitals. They're known for their their hotels internationally. John and Janet J. remain committed to the project and bring their international design expertise. Currently, the pro forma, based on ACE's expertise and knowledge of the hospitality industry, show a 62% occupancy at stabilized year and an average bed rate of 3586. And these numbers were also confirmed by an as-built appraisal that was completed earlier this month. And I also want to add that the members of the LLC are property owners and investors in the neighborhood and committed to the revitalization of the neighborhood. This project supports the Old Town Chinatown Entrepreneurial District. This was an item called out in the action plan for entrepreneurial support. This is one of 2 entrepreneurial districts, and this project is seen as a way to elevate the profile of the neighborhood and make it a more attractive place for entrepreneurs to invest by bringing more visitors to the area that helps create more income activity and to assist them to help the retail in the area. And this is a rehabilitation of a historic building. Developers are aiming for Advantage certification, which is in compliance with their green building policy. They will also be required to comply with business workforce equity policy. Will be requiring RH to complete a business workforce equity policy plan and to pay state of work and wage rates. That is the conclusion of the presentation. Available for any questions you may have.
Why don't we hold questions and give our developers David Gold and John Day an opportunity to come up, and also we have Paul who wanted to testify. Come to the table. And first of all, I just personally want to say thank you for hanging in there for the last year. And to my commissioners, despite what you might have read in the newspaper today, I didn't actually vote for you on this already. When I was asked the question of did I think that this would pass today, I told the reporter that I had not spoken with any of you, either as a board or individually, about this in months. But given the importance of this project to the neighborhood and the enthusiasm shown by the board when it was originally passed, given the relatively minor modifications, given the rather non-minor increase in construction costs, I would be surprised if we didn't move forward. So I apologize if you were embarrassed by what was in the paper today. I do believe that this is a very important project in this neighborhood. This is a full block base on Burnside. It is right across from the U.S. Bank Tower. It is the connection between the north side and the south side. It connects Old Town Chinatown to the financial district. And right now it is a complete blank block that it's very hard to get people to walk up an entire street when they go past a blank block. So I can't think, I've said it before, I can't think of a better use. I wish we could go back and change history, but we can, and that's not the business that we're in. We're in the business of looking at what we have now, the asset we have now, the value that, what it's worth, and what its best use is. So I'm still enthusiastic about this project, and I'm interested in hearing that you still are as well.
Well, I think there's a rational interest from businessmen, but what's deeper for me personally is the emotional interest, because those are my ancestors 150 years ago that not Portland that created all the original Chinatowns in America, literally my ancestors. So there's something else vested for me personally in my life in this neighborhood that's deeply important, and how this can be hopefully the first dominoes of positive change that can affect the entire neighborhood. The other part that's important to me is that this is a very important cause that perhaps the city, not this group, but in general public doesn't understand, is how important this neighborhood in terms of the creative corridor, this powerful creative corridor that is packed with creative talent that ends in this neighborhood. In fact, I can say two of the most important senior talents that have left my company of recent years have taken up offices right across the street from me, right here in Chinatown. So it's become, Mr. Gold's building has become this hotbed of not only young creative talent, but now suddenly senior freelance creative talent as well. So there's a lot of emotion packed in here for me, because I want to make sure that this thing happens, and that happens for not only for this block that you refer to, but for the entire neighborhood. Future too, because we want to use this block to be future facing and to move forward and not move backwards, and how to replicate the Chinatown in the future area of entrepreneurship and creative learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is David Gold, and I guess I'm the lead person on the development team. And on behalf of the development team, I'd like to say that we spent 2 years putting in our hearts and souls into this project. It was amazing to see it last year. I'd like to say it really quickly, but we've been working diligently. And, anyway, this project is very exciting, and it's come down to this, and I think we're ready to go. There's been some discussion in terms of timing. Money's there. The problem last time was that we didn't have a GMP post-maximum price. This time we have a price. We need to put a shovel in the ground by January 15th in order to maintain that price. So we're very anxious moving forward. Staff and I'm sure you've covered a few of my highlights here, but I'm going to cover them the best I can. What I think is important in terms of the project, some of the highlights specifically. Downtown Portland, I think, as you said, this is a full block development. I'm calling it the Miracle on Burnside. Removal of a blighted block on one of Portland's busiest streets. Most of the storefronts have been boarded over the last 3 years. The Old Town Chinatown, I think this is a new iconic landmark, at least as iconic as the museum of the house. Specifically in terms of the improved economic environment, the new retail spaces, depending on how they're divided, we probably have 7, including 3 or 4 local food-based businesses. Probably some out-of-state folks that may bring some new excitement to the neighborhood, but we'll have 3, and these are small 500 square foot spaces that we see as sort of incubator spaces that move from maybe parks to full-fledged restaurants. The bicycle shop catering to the guests and to the general public. Souvenir, convenience store associated with our lobby, again focused on the hostel tenants, but also the broader public. And hopefully that's going to bring some excitement as well, so we'll get people in there. And then our restaurant and bar. We also think the development will bring safety to the area by removing the light and activating the street. And it removes the barrier that I think right now people don't want to cross Burnside into Old Town because they see this lighted front or facade. I think, as John said, our targeted demographic is sort of a creative class, exactly in line with what many of Portland's leaders have talked about over the past few years. We hope the hostel will create employment opportunities and an area for some of these folks to show and create and share their ideas. We think it's important as an asset to the Asian community, as John said. The hostel is going to have a definite Asian theme. We hope to activate the Chinese Gate area specifically and to celebrate the neighborhood's cultural past and future. Existing businesses, we've got a lot of retailers. We've brought a number of retailers into the neighborhood. One just opened, by the way, table of contents. I know we talked about the pop-up stores, but we have a new store on 4th. If you haven't seen it, you stop by and see table of contents along with some of our other retailers. I think this is important. I mean, 142 new customers on the streets, for the coffee shops, for the retailers, for everybody involved. It's going to be just a sea change as far as I'm concerned. In addition, we have some area businesses, and I think specifically, for example, Pencil, which I think PDC was involved in helping get located there. They are an academy for shoe design. I know that Wayne Orts, their leader, very excited about having hospitality right next door where some of their people can sit. And that's 20 to 25 students. I can't remember how many times a year, I think it's 25 times a year business class. And then I think the food will also reinforce Old Town Chinatown's reputation as a food destination, something that unfortunately in the past few years has gone downhill. We've got a couple of new additions. We're hoping that King, Davis, the new establishments will create a destination. Real quickly, I wanted to say as far as foreign travel, I think Portland and Oregon both have been attempting to increase our exposure. I think this will create a landmark destination for international travel. For Portland, it solidifies our position as a gateway to the America's creative scene. And for tourists on a broader basis, we'd love to see a network among the youth hostels that get people to Joseph, to Crater Lake, to places that aren't on the map right now, partially because there's no public transportation, like maybe to the hospital, do something like that. Affordable accommodations in a cultural area, connectivity between travelers. I don't know if any of you have stayed in youth hostels, but one of the unique aspects is that people get together, they talk about where they've been, where they're going. We're going to add the arts aspect to that. I think it'll just be great. And then the location, easy access to public transportation. And finally, because Portland's reputation as a bike capital is so important, we feel the hospital will be a bicycle hub. We We'd like to see bike trips start there, finish there. We open up the bike shop to offer services, like receiving bicycles, travelers coming into Portland, or shipping them back home. We'd like to see bike tours arranged there. So basically, they're excited about the prospects. Nothing's really changed in the last 2 years except for retired than we were before. But on behalf of the development team, we'd like to thank the staff. The staff has been great to work with, the board for your patience, and everybody involved in the project. We're looking forward to opening in probably the next 5-6 months.
Thank you, David. Paul, good to see you again. Come on.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair Andrews, Director Clinton. Paul Verhoeven, I'm the Executive Director of Saturday Market, sitting board member of the Old Town Chinatown Neighborhood Association, and co-chair of the Neighborhoods Land Use Committee. I think everybody's pretty much summed up how important this project is to Old Town. We are enthusiastic about it. Those of us who've been here for a number of years remember the Grove Hotel before PDC took ownership of it. It's certainly been an improvement since then. It's built in a pretty static base on that block. I think this idea of activating it with great young people, young travelers, is just what the neighborhood needs. And it's critical to kind of introducing people to Chinatown, sitting next to the gate, and hopefully spurring development further north in Goldsmith blocks on block 33 to get that really underway. So it meets all the goals of our neighborhood development plan. I think it's a great thing for the neighborhood and also a great connection back to the Central City on the south side. I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks for your service, and thanks for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Stephen, Catherine.
Chairman, Commissioners, I want to take just a quick second and thank all the staff that has played a role in making this happen. Thank you. First of all, Catherine has done a really wonderful job. But also, we couldn't get here without the excellent work that Becky Marsh has provided, and Dave Wolver and Steve Flank in terms of helping us in maintaining this property and working with us and making things happen. So I want to thank them for doing this.
Thank you. Charles, I'll start with you. Any questions?
Should I talk very slowly?
Yes.
Yes.
Now I'm familiar with the project, and I think we made a significant commitment to improving an area in the village that needs significant improvement. So the amount of funding that we're putting out towards our initial plan, another $180,000, I think it's a good follow-on investment to make sure something positive happens. So I don't have any questions other than to put to staff. Once again, the point where the public is regarding the personal guarantee, I think that's what the public is doing. They're concerned about the risk, and whether it's not keep enough diligence and are convinced that this is a worthwhile step. And I think everything is on page. I would like someone to walk through again the actual risk that PDC will aid to take with regard to this investment.
So I think he's asking you to explain the personal guarantee, the guarantee, the backstop.
So what we've negotiated with the developers is kind of a little bit of belt and suspenders with them, is that because we are not requiring a personal guarantee on our loan, our concern is that we're in second position after our loan is less than ours. One of the requirements that we have is to be able to loan documents and separate document as well, is that they will pledge that if for some reason the advance loan is in default, they will first have the ability to kind of cure that with advances. If they do not cure that with advances, they will personally pay that or pledge to us that they will have that paid and use their assets and pay that loan off so that PDC can be back in her position. And if we need to foreclose or take ownership or something else, but then we don't have any better. And it's one of the mitigations of risk that PDC is taking. If you want to ask Catherine Midnight about beyond just that risk, we also have a lot of market interest rates on both of these loans to kind of recognize the risk that we're having.
Yeah. And I think that's critical, and I appreciate everyone's willingness to work through and get to that position, because it's very important for the public to understand that we are assessing risk, and that's being reflected in the terms did. So I hear you come up to be quiet, so all I have to do is wish everyone the best, look for this thing to help.
Thank you, Charles. Commissioner Dixon.
Thank you, Charles. I also agree this is a really, I remember when Catherine and Stephen first presented this project about a year and a half ago, or maybe 2 years, and it was one of the first projects that I really felt excited and that made a lot of sense for this district, because when we've all seen this building, as you mentioned, it was really, it's an area that needs improvement, and all of us who are in the district, which includes myself, as of earlier this year, would love to see something happen there. So I think in terms of our excitement for the project happening, we're all on board with that. My only concerns obviously would lie around the construction budget and some of the expenses that have gone up, and the fact that I believe he said that they're holding the place till the 1st of
January 15, 2015.
And knowing the way that construction works, that means that if that time lapses, there will be another increase. It's never a decrease. So, just being able to get the project moving and the expenses and the time that it will take are my concerns about it. And also, I just don't understand why we would need to have the final termination date be the December 30th, 2013, if at the beginning of the year, really, we need to be moving forward on the project. It just doesn't seem like we're as committed as we should be.
Commissioner, thinking on page 5 of Exhibit A to the resolution, we could change that date to the closing conveyance deadline and move that forward. December 13th was, I would say, probably the staff's idea of pushing, just in case that somehow or another it needed to be an extension. But I would say the January 15th is pretty much the proper deadline. But I would suggest maybe some cushion, maybe June 30, 2013, time for conveyance.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful if we at least had that termination date and have for us to
Could make that change, but I would have to look to council and see if there would be a resolution.
I think the simplest way is just to suggest by amendment that the termination date be moved up, and then have you approve that, and then later approve the resolution as a whole.
Yep. And I'm going to page 5 of the day.
Okay, so you're suggesting an amendment to page 5, Exhibit A, which is Exhibit E, item number 25, the final termination date would be changed from December 30, 2013 to June 30, 2013.
Yes.
And I would add, and any other changes that need to be made to reflect that, probably other changes, there may be other changes in the
And any
document.
other changes that are needed to reflect that based on those others that are in the documents. So you will move that.
Yes, I so moved.
Charles, can I get a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Thank you. Any further discussion on that point? Then all those in favor of the amendment, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so now we can move on to the item itself. Resolution 6980 as amended, authorizing the third amendment to the disposition and development agreement with Grove Hospital Property LLC, an additional loan in the amount of $180,000 to Grove Hospital Property LLC at revised terms for a $2,465,000 loan to Grove Hospital LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. We look forward to the opening
Yes. Thank you.
soon. With that, there are no other items in front of us today, so we are adjourned. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You want me to think?